So you're weighing up whether to build your own marketing data pipeline or buy an existing solution. It's a big decision, and while building might seem cheaper or more flexible upfront, there's a lot that goes into making it actually work. We've built these systems ourselves, and we know what it takes. So here's what to expect if you decide to build from scratch. The initial setup. First things first, you'll need to set up API connections to each of your data sources. This isn't particularly difficult, though each platform has its own quirks and building reliable connections isn't always just plug and play. Next, you'll need to consider authorization and access. This is where things get tricky as you'll need to work out automated systems to manage permissions and access to the APIs. Then you'll need to consider the API request limits. APIs often restrict how much data you can pull over a given period, so you'll need strategies to avoid reaching limits or your data pipeline will fail. You'll also need to think about security infrastructure. Encryption, access controls, and compliance with GDPR and CCPA are essential. At the same time, you will also need to consider your data storage. Your data needs a reliable, scalable home. Cloud storage like S3 or warehouses like Snowflake work, but you'll need to factor in the resources and costs for setup and management. Lastly, different data sources use different fields and naming conventions, so you'll need a system for mapping and integrating your data to make it usable. This is just the initial setup. It doesn't necessarily include all the things a data pipeline can do, but what a basic data pipeline should do. And just for one data pipeline, this process needs to be repeated for every single data source you want to connect to. Ongoing maintenance. Getting your pipeline live is an achievement. Keeping it live, that's where the real work starts. In fact, ongoing maintenance constitutes the biggest long-term financial commitment when building your own solution and the one that is often overlooked. Firstly, you need to constantly monitor and update APIs. APIs are regularly updated, so you'll need a process to monitor those updates and adapt connectors, or you may suddenly find your pipeline broken. This is why we employ a whole army of engineers and developers whose sole job is to manage and maintain our APIs. New threats and regulations mean ongoing security maintenance is a must-have. Security has to be actively managed, not set once and forget. As your marketing grows, so does your data. You'll need more storage, more compute power, and more optimization. So you'll need some solution for system scaling. Lastly, troubleshooting and data quality management. Pipelines fail, data errors creep in, so you will need to divert staff and resources to ensuring your data is continually monitored and any problems are detected and fixed fast. These are just the main areas. So, how much does it cost? Exact costs depend on your setup. But for 10 pipelines, typical for most marketing teams, expect an initial build cost of around $26,000. Ongoing maintenance, covering API updates, security, scaling, and troubleshooting, around $90,000 per year. This is all based on the average US salaries for the sort of job roles you will need and the number of hours they will need to work on this project. And they include a data engineer, a software developer, and a system engineer. So in total, you're looking at around $116,000 with around 1,600 work hours in your first year. And this doesn't even factor in recruiting, training, and team management costs, which drive the total even higher. If you want to take a look at the actual breakdown, check out the link to the full report in the video description. Anything else? As we already said, this is based on building a pretty basic system and doesn't include a lot of the other factors that may or may not impact your in-house build. Things like administrative costs, building and maintaining some sort of UI so staff can access the data, or handling staff turnover are all other factors that need to be taken into account. In short, building your own data pipeline solution is doable, but it's a serious investment of time, money, and ongoing resources. If you decide to take this in-house route, we urge you not to underestimate these challenges. Trust us, we've been there. Alternatively, head over to www.adverity.com and chat with one of our advisors to see whether buying off the shelf might make more sense for your business.